Morning guys, hi, welcome back to the Knitting Expat Podcast. My name is Mina and today is Thursday the 19th of September and I'm here today to film another episode. It's been a while. I think, and I might be wrong, we're on episode 144. I really should have checked before I sat down to do this, but anyway, I'm drinking my second cup of coffee for the day and hopefully there won't be too much background noise, but we still have painters doing all the decorating around the outside of our building, and our neighbours upstairs are still renovating their apartment, so it might get loud a bit later, so I'm trying to record this as early as I can. It's just gone 10, so fingers crossed it'll be okay. What else was I going to say? It's a nice sunny day outside, weather looks great. It's actually started to get a little bit chillier now, which is really nice. Yesterday really felt like the first day of autumn, even though it's still quite sunny. It's weird, it's sunny but chilled, which is the perfect kind of weather in my opinion. Perfect for light sweaters or pullovers. But yeah, as you can see, I have a plethora of stuff here to share with you guys, so we should probably jump right in. But before we do that, you can find me online as Knitting Expat on Instagram. That's the one, on Instagram, and I'm Mina Phillip on Ravelry. And you can find show notes for this below the video on YouTube in the description box. And what else? What other information do you guys need? Oh, I sell designs. I'm a knitwear designer. I sell my designs in my Ravelry shop as Knitting Expat Designs. This is one of them, what I'm wearing today. I always forget to talk about what I'm wearing if I'm wearing knitwear. So this is my Not So Little Nugget pullover. It's just a simple top-down raglan. It's going to be a slightly looser, comfy fit, and yeah, so that's available in there, as well as a plethora of other designs. My Yorkville sweater was one I released last week, which was really exciting, and I'm so happy that so many of you have enjoyed getting that pattern. I'm trying out a new sort of pricing structure with some of my upcoming patterns, which is more of a pay what works sort of scheme. So the way Ravelry works, it doesn't give you the option to do like a pay what you want sort of option. So what I've done is I've raised my base pattern price to be more reflective of the amount of work that goes into designing one of my patterns. So for example, with the Yorkville sweater, most of my sweater designs are published for around £5. So I've raised the price in the Yorkville to £10, but then I've offered 3 different coupon codes, which will always be active, they're not limited. So one will give you 20% discount, bringing it down to £8. One will give you 40% discount, bringing it down to £6. And one will give you a 60% discount, bringing it down to £4. So the idea being that if you can afford to and you would like to support my work and pay a fair price in terms of what my pattern is worth, then you can pay the full price. But if that doesn't work for you and doesn't suit your budget, you can pick one of the other coupon codes to get it at a slightly lower price, in an attempt to make the patterns, my patterns, more accessible to people of different economic situations, or different financial situations. Because I know I wasn't always in a situation where, you know, had I been knitting at the time, I wouldn't have always been in a situation where I would have been able to afford paying for indie patterns or indie yarn and stuff like that. So I'm very fortunate to be in a situation where that's not as much of a concern. I mean, it still is something I think about, but it's not as much of a concern as it would have been several years ago, or when I was in a different situation. So I try to be as inclusive as I can with my sizing in my garment patterns, or just in my patterns in general. My sock patterns always come with 7 different sizes. So as pretty much for the last 2 years now, I think most of my sock patterns come with 7 different sizes. My garments tend to come in a range of usually around 10 sizes, ranging from like about 30-inch or low 30s to over 60 inches in circumference. So I've always been quite conscious of trying to be inclusive size-wise, and I thought it's about time I try out something to try and be more inclusive financially as well. So I've been trying it out, and I will be experimenting with that a little bit more throughout the rest of this year with some upcoming pattern releases. And I think in the new year I'll take a view on how that's worked out for the rest of this year, and if it's gone well, then I'll probably go back and update all of my back catalogue of patterns to have like a similar sort of setup. So anyway, I'd be interested to hear your thoughts on that and what you guys think about it. What else was I going to say? So those are all the places and some rambly information I hadn't necessarily thought about telling you this morning, but there we go. I do have a new pattern that is out now as well. It hasn't actually hit publish yet, but by the time this video goes up it will be published, and that is this pair of socks. You may remember these from ages ago now that I knit them, and these were knit out of Dragon Horde yarn. I think it was the Come Alive colourway, and I can't remember now, but it's just a simple sort of ribbed pattern with some garter pearl bump details. But the main thing about it are these cables that run down the front. There's also some little cables that run down the sides. I'm trying to show you. There's this little cable that runs down this side and another one on the other side, and it's the same on this sock. But the main cable that runs down the middle, if I twist the sock on the blockers you can see it. So this one I've in the pattern called it the fishtail cable. Get it to focus. There you go. And this is quite a flat cable. You can see there's not much, doesn't stand up too much. Whereas the other one, I've called it the spine cable in the pattern. These cables didn't have like a name. I kind of just, I mean, I'm sure they do have a name, but I kind of just made them up as I was knitting. And so I just named them something. There we go. And this one's a little bit more 3D in its shape. So this pattern I've called Sisters Not Twins, because the socks are clearly a pair, but they're not identical because the cable's different on each sock. So essentially this sock pattern is kind of a 2-in-1, because you get the charts for both cables, and you can either knit them like I have, one on each sock, or you can knit one pair with one cable, one pair with the other cable. So yeah, you can mix and match in different ways, and like I said, it comes in 7 sizes. This sock pattern was actually one of the trickiest ones, even though it looks so simple, and it is a fairly simple design, but it was definitely one of the trickiest ones that I've had to design recently, because I've had to do 7 sizes, and each size needs its own charts because each size is slightly different, obviously, so the charts are slightly different. And so for it to be as clear as possible, I had to chart each one individually, and because each sock has 2 charts with 2 different cables, so that's 14 charts for this one pattern. Obviously you only need the charts for your size, so I highly encourage you to only print the pages that you need for the size that you're knitting, just to save paper. Otherwise you're printing a lot of pages that you don't need. So yes, anyway, so that's this one, Sisters Not Twins. This is also going to be a pay what works option. So the baseline price is £8, and then there's 20, 40 and 60% off coupon codes as well as options for you there. Bear in mind the prices I'm giving to you here is before VAT, so if you're in a country where VAT is added onto your purchases, and I believe that's mainly European countries and Australia that has that, that will be added on automatically by Ravelry. It is not something that I control, so if the price doesn't match up with exactly what I'm telling you, that's probably why. Yeah, so that money doesn't go to me, that's paid to the government of your country. Anyway, complicated system, I know. So that's out now, and yeah, so I hope you guys will enjoy this pattern. It's been a long time coming. I've had it ready for release, to be honest, since the beginning of summer, and I just don't know why I didn't pull the trigger on publishing it, but I have now, and so it's out there, and I hope you'll enjoy it. Moving on, it's all the admin-y type stuff done, I believe, and should we jump into some stuff, some knitting? So I've got some knitting finished objects, I've got a crochet finished object. I have some works in progress, and then there's some finished spinning projects, some dyeing finished objects, experiments. There's some spinning works in progress, and there's also some spinning kits updates that I want to give you guys and talk about a little bit. And also some acquisitions, so a little bit of everything today. And I'll also be going over some knit along stuff that we've got going on in the group, and some general chit chat towards the end. So for first finished object, I have a pair of socks. This is actually the only knitting finished object that I have to share with you guys today, which is weird. I had hoped to have something else finished, but it just didn't work out. But this is a pair of socks that I knit out of Sticks and Cups yarn, which is from the Sticks and Cup yarn shop in the Netherlands, and this was on their, oh, I can't remember the name of the base, but it's their sock base. It's a 75-25 wool nylon blend, and it's in the Fenrir, I think, colourway. That's how you pronounce it. Which I'm not, if I'm not mistaken, is a, I think that's a Harry Potter reference. Can't remember now. But yeah, so it's just a plain vanilla sock with a mini heel flap adjustment and garter, in garter with a garter short row heel, German short row heel. This is for my dad, and recently I've been doing something a little bit different for his socks. Is I'm doing a 5 repeat mini garter heel, and I'm decreasing down until there's 68 stitches on the feet. So I cast on a 64 stitch sock for my dad, and I don't know if I know I've talked about this before, but he has quite skinny legs, but he gets swollen ankles a lot, so his ankles are quite a bit bigger and his feet are quite wide. So I've done 64 stitches for the leg, which fits him quite nicely, and then I've got a slightly deeper mini heel flap just so there's a little bit extra room for any swelling, and then I've kept the stitch count on the leg slightly larger by a couple of stitches just to allow for the extra width in his feet. And yeah, the last pair I knit for him like this, he said fit really well, so I'm going to be continuing to knit him socks using that method. And then my crochet finished object is just a little granny rectangle that I knit for Layla, crocheted for Layla. This was a very quick project. This is out of some handstand. If you watched my video about spinning, prepping and spinning the mini bats that I created on my homemade blending board, I then spun those up and plied them with commercial grey yarn, and then I decided I was trying to decide what to make with it for Layla, because I had a decent amount of yardage, but also it was really heavy. I was thinking about doing like a jacket for her or a skirt or something, but the yarn itself is a very heavy yarn. So, I mean, it was almost 400 grams for the whole lot, so I thought, oh, it's just a little bit heavy for a little kid. So I thought I would do it as a blanket, and then she could use it to play with her dolls or whatever, and it's just always handy to have little blankets lying around. And she loves her quilted blanket that I've made her over the summer. She still uses it. She's been using it all summer, and then in the winter I have another crocheted one that I made for her just before she was born, which she uses to snuggle up with. So I thought it's always nice to have an extra one, or she could use this as her baby's blanket for her dolls and stuff. But it's just a little fun thing for her to play with. And I started to run out of the last colour partway through around, so I just attached this commercial Stellina yellow yarn held double, and I finished the round, and then I did one more round just to sort of tie it all in together because it's a lot brighter without the grey in there. And then yeah, so that's finished. I haven't washed or blocked it or anything. I don't really think it needs it, to be honest, but if she happens to spill anything on it, then I will. But I just thought it was a nice little blanket. It's good to throw in the car maybe if we go somewhere it's a bit chilly, or I don't know. It's just a nice little thing to have around, and I wanted to do something that would be useful, you know, that she wouldn't necessarily grow out of. Oh, and that's the other thing. As she gets older, if she wants to play, like dress up and stuff, I could always string a ribbon through the top, and she could put it around her neck like a cape, or I could string a ribbon through the long end and she could wrap it around her like a skirt. So there are options of things that she can do and play with this as well. And that's another reason why I picked crochet, because I knew it would have those holes. So you'd have the option of, like, you know, stringing some ribbon through it and using it to tie it on and stuff like that to, you know, play with it a bit more. Have other options with it. So that was that one. And like I said, I had hoped to have another finished object to show you. I do actually have another finished object. I just can't show you because it's a design that's the secret for now. It will be published soon, but for now it's the secret, and I finished that whilst I was in Oslo, and I'll talk more about Oslo later. But in terms of works in progress, we have in this bag, unsurprisingly, a pair of socks. This is my Hide and Hammer project bag. This is a this sort of green canvas, which is really lovely, and leather handle. I really love this bag, and I can't wait to actually get some more bags from New. It's really lovely bags, and I love the lining, this beautiful golden mustard colour. So in here I have a pair of socks. Surprise, surprise. Is anyone actually surprised that I have socks on the needles? I haven't actually knit that many pairs of socks this year, which is surprising. But yeah, so this is the sock. These are the socks that I'm currently working on. Oh jeez, get myself all tangled up. And this is in the this is in Cat Sandwich Fibers yarn in the Evergreen Forest colourway, and it's just on her sock base. 75/25 superwash merino nylon, 463 yards and 100 grams, just a standard fingering weight sock yarn. And as you can see, it's sort of micro stripes, which is really fun. And yeah, so these are now ready for the heel to be popped in. I haven't done that yet, but I'm planning on getting the heel popped in soon, because I think potentially Perry and I might be going to the cinema over the weekend. But so I want to have these socks ready to go for cinema knitting, so they just need heels. And then those will be ready. And then another work in progress that I have on the needles. I cast this on in Oslo actually, and I haven't knit on it too much since I've been back, but I knit most of this the last day and then at the airport and on the flight home. But it's this the beginnings of a cowl. So I did a provisional cast on at the beginning, and yeah, so if you watched my Tubular Cowl Knit With Me series, which is another thing that I've published since the last time I podcasted, I did a tutorial on how to do like a tubular cowl, whether it's like a reversible style or like an infinity loop style. So I think this one's going to end up being another tubular style one rather than infinity loop, like a reversible one, like the one I did in the video, just because I don't think I have enough yarn to make it a infinity loop or even just a single loop. But yeah, so I decided to do this really fun diamond pattern. You might recognize the colors. They are it's the same yarn that I used for my forage sweater, and I had a whole lot of yarn left over. I had I had almost full cakes of the contrast colors, because it doesn't use that much of the contrast colors, and I almost had a full cake's worth left over of the main color as well. So I thought, since I had close to 400 grams of DK weight yarn, I would do something colourworky, and I thought that'd be really fun. The red, so the darkest colour here that I use as the main body of my sweater, I have the least amount of that colour. So once that colour runs out, I'm going to stop doing the diamond pattern, and then I'm just going to work the rest of the colours in stripes until I'm almost out of yarn, and then I will seam the ends together, and then the striping bit will just be on the inside, and the colour work bit will be what you see on the outside of the cowl. So that's the idea. We shall see how far I get in terms of how far this colour work will get. There's currently, how many repeats are there? 1, 2, 3, 4.5 repeats on there so far, almost 5 repeats done. I figure if we can get to like close to 10, that would be pretty good, that would be pretty deep, and then whatever else I can get in just striping the rest of the colours to use them up and seam the ends together. So hopefully by next time that will be finished. That'd be really fun. It's just and that will be written up as a pattern as well. It's just a really fun, it's a great pattern if you're doing these sorts of colourwork sweaters that require several like contrast colours, but you're never going to use a full skein of your contrast colour in the sweater, and you're going to have all this yarn left over and you're not sure what to do with it. It's great for something like that. You can just throw a few of those together, especially for the heavier weights. I think with fingering weight yarn, if you have lots left over, it's quite easy to do like a pair of socks or throw it into a shawl or something. But with like DK or worsted weight yarns, when you have like almost a whole ball left over, or you have like 80 grams left over, you're just like, well, what do you do with that other than a hat? And if you don't want to do a hat, then what other options do you have? So I thought this cowl would be quite fun, sort of like a stash, oh, I can't speak today. It'll be like a stash buster. Oh goodness. Honestly, that's ridiculous. I can't believe I messed that up so badly. Anyway, so that's basically a really good stash buster for like DK or worsted weight scraps, or any scraps really, doesn't have to be that weight. Again, it will be written to be kind of like an any gauge situation, and if you are using a different weight, obviously then the pattern is written for. Unfortunately, you will have to do a gauge swatch, so bear that in mind. It will all be detailed out in the pattern for you guys. But yeah, so hopefully that will be coming towards the end of October is the plan. I have a plan. I sat down yesterday and I was like, I have so many patterns coming out, I need a plan of action. So I've sort of just planned out the next few weeks. So I've got what, 4, 5, 6, the next 10 weeks I've got just written up here as like a little calendar format, and everything in orange is a pattern release. So I have 1 pattern a week coming out over the next 7 weeks, including today, so the next 6 weeks. There's a pattern a week at least, and some weeks I have 2. Actually next week, Tuesday is my birthday, and also the day that all of the patterns in the Minilicious Pattern Club will be available for individual purchase. So that's happening next week on Tuesday. Those will all be published. And then on the Thursday next week, I'm going to be publishing the first pattern in the gift knitting collection, which I'm calling the Snowy Knits collection. I think that's why I settled on the Snowy Knits, because they're all like snow related names. So yeah, that's exciting. That'll be coming next week too. I'm hoping possibly if I get a chance to do a podcast next week as well, even if it's just a short one, just to sort of announce the launch of that collection as well, and to give you guys more information about it, because I don't have all of the details figured out right now. Anyway, right, sip of coffee. It's gone cold. That's not nice. Okay, that can go there. Right. So my next and last work in progress, and this is really why I haven't got a lot of other knitting to show you, is Perry's Gansey. The beast. I call it, it's not really the beast. You know what, this actually isn't that bad. It's a bit of a yarn hog, this sweater. I will be honest, it does eat yarn. It is very yarn intensive because it's a sport weight garment with lots of cables. So it does eat up a lot of yarn. But the real reason was, I mean, I started this sweater back in May. I have never had a project that's taken me this long to finish other than a blanket. Nothing, sweaters don't take me more than 2 months, 3 months maximum, usually a month. But the problem was with this one, I got to the point where I finished the first sleeve and I realized I wasn't going to publish this pattern over the summer. I'd always arranged with the dye to have this pattern released in October at some point, towards like mid to end of October. So I had so many other designs that I knew I wanted to release in September and early October, and I needed to get a start on those. So once I got the first sleeve done, I was like, great, I can finish up the pattern, get it sent to my tech editor, and then get it sent out to testers. And then I'll just knit the second sleeve along with my testers, like at some point over the summer or whatever. I never picked it up. So I put this down, I think, before Tour de Fleece was when I put it down. So end of June, early July. And then I only picked it up a couple days ago, again. So that's what, I haven't knit on this for like 2 months, over 2 months. And honestly, like I totally get Sleeve Island now. I never had an issue with Sleeve Island before. And I picked this up and I looked at Perry and I was just like, now I get it. Now I get it. This is why I don't leave things for a long time. This is why I finish things quickly, because I know what I'm like, and I know if I leave it for a long time I won't want to go back to it. And it's not that I don't want to go back to this. I want this finished. I really want to see it finished. I want to see Perry wearing it. My plan was to give this to him for his birthday. His birthday was at the end of August, so that didn't happen. But I really want to get it done, and I really want to get it done by this weekend, so I can block it over the weekend. We're going to be up in London this weekend, so I want to block it over the weekend, so by the time we get back it'll be dry and I can drag him to a park somewhere and take some photos for me, or to model it for photos. Because yeah, I really want to get this pattern ready. The testers are doing great, and this is going to be coming out after Rhinebeck, so towards the end of October. I have it scheduled for the 25th of October if you're interested. I'm just checking my calendar. But yeah, and I'm actually just over halfway on this sleeve. I have 12 more repeats to go on the body, on the sleeve. Yeah, apparently I can't talk today, so apologies for the constant corrections. But yeah, I think I have 12 more decreasing repeats to go on the sleeve before I'm almost done. It's a little bit of pooling that I can see on the camera, but it really doesn't look that bad when you look at it in person. It's not that obvious, but Perry doesn't care, which is the important thing. Although I did notice the other day, and this is thankfully not going to bug me because I'm not that kind of person. Where is it? I saw it the other day and I thought I should share it with you all, because you'll appreciate this. But you know, even designers get things wrong and make mistakes. You know, we're not perfect, we're people. one of my cables is twisted the wrong way. So that's actually on the back and it's way down here. This sweater was knit bottom up. There is no way, absolutely no way in hell that I'm ripping this out to fix that little twist. No one's gonna care. No one's gonna even notice it. It's on the back. It's at the bottom. No, not even bothered. I mean, to be honest, even if it was on the front up here, I still wouldn't go back and change it because I'm like, nah, not bothered. Not enough. I don't know, actually maybe if it was on the front I would have noticed it sooner, but I don't know. Anyway, I didn't see that until recently, and I hope you can't hear that noise. It's really annoying. It's like someone's scraping at the wall. Must be the people, decorators upstairs. Anyway, almost done. Hoping to get this finished tonight, or at least the decrease is finished. Only got 12 more repeats to go, and I did 6 this morning before I sat down to record, so it should be fine. And now the stitch count is decreasing. It's smaller and smaller numbers after each repeat, so it's just going quicker and quicker. So that is good. And as you can see, I am not alternating on the sleeves. I didn't alternate on the other sleeve. It looks fine. And like I said, at this point, I want it to be finished. I really do. This is why I don't let projects linger, because then it just becomes a bit of a slog, and that's not really what I want my knitting to be like. I enjoy it when I'm enjoying it, and I don't want to stop working on it, because when I stop working on it, then it's a bit of a chore to pick up, and I hate that feeling of being on Sleeve Island. I don't enjoy it. I'm fine now. It just had to get past that first few repeats of the decreases, and once I got into the flow of it, then it was fine. I'm okay with it now. Like, it doesn't feel like a slog anymore. But when I first picked it up, I remember looking at Perry and just being like, this is not, no. This is why I haven't picked it up, because it got to a point where it had just been too long. Anyway, I've been I've been refraining from casting on new things until I got that sleeve finished, because again, I know myself, and I know if I cast on new things, I'm just gonna want to knit on those new things and not pick up that sweater. So I was like, no, this needs to be done. We're doing it. And it's not that I don't want to do it. I want to do it. So anyway. So let's move on to acquisitions. 2 things to share. One is some fibre. So it was my mum's birthday a couple of weeks ago, and I decided to get her some fibre for her birthday. And when I was placing an order for a fibre for her, I had to place an order for myself because, you know, fibre likes to travel in company, like yarn. And so one company that I bought fibre from for her was Shankly's Fibre Studio. I think they're based in the UK. And their tagline is a contemporary twist on rural fibre crafts, and I really like their label. It's like a little rainbow tree with a sheep at the bottom of it, and I really like this colorway that they had in comb top. It's 70% merino, 30% silk, 100 grams. This is the tapestry colorway. It's just really lovely greens and purples and stuff that I really like. But they also had it in bat form, which I thought was really interesting. So I thought it'd be really fun to do a same blend, 70-30. I thought it'd be really fun to do either 2 skeins separately, one of comb top, one from the bat, or to do 1 ply of each and ply them together. I haven't decided yet, but I just thought that would be a really fun sort of little spinning experiment to do at some point. And then the other acquisition is technically, I guess, an Oslo acquisition, but not really. So we were in Oslo. I was in Oslo with Ellie. We were going around the yarn shops, and the very last one we went to before we hopped on the bus to the festival grounds had some Rauma Peta super. Oh, I didn't even realise it's superwash, like a DK weight yarn. And I was looking at it, and the price seemed fairly reasonable to me. And even Ellie agreed it was reasonable, but she told me that Isolde was having a sale on her website for Rauma and other yarns. So I was like, okay then. So whilst we were on the bus to the festival grounds, I ordered this fibre from my phone from Isolde, and by the time I got back, it was waiting for me. So I got 2 skeins in colour 320. Okay, so my camera battery died, so sorry, I had to dig around under all this stuff to find it on the table. So the first colour I got from the Rauma Peta Superwash is this 100 meters per 50 grams, like a DK weight, and this is colour 320. It's a lovely creamy colour. And then the second colour I got was colour 328, which is like this golden mustardy yellow, which I love, one of my favourite colours. And then in colour number 308, this beautiful sort of like tealy blue, another favourite. And I absolutely love these three colours together. I think they make a really beautiful colour combination right there. And I can't wait to see what these turn into. Probably a shawl of some kind, I think. Got 600 meters here, so enough to do something fun with. And yeah, I can't wait to see what this grows up to become. And so that's it for acquisitions. Moving on to knit along and giveaway news, we have several knit alongs going on in the group at the moment. We have the Minilicious Pattern Club knit along, which will be ending on the 24th of September, so a little over 4 or 5 days away. So if you are working on one of the Minilicious Pattern Club patterns, pop on over and submit your finished objects before that time, so you can be in for some prizes. Then we also have the sweater knit along going on, and that is running until the end of November. So there again, if you are knitting a sweater, go on ahead and enter there. If you are knitting one of my designs, then you can enter twice for a prize, otherwise it's 1 entry for any other design. And adult or children's garments count. It's a fairly casual, fun knit along. And then the other sort of along we have going on at the moment is the spin and make along, which I'm co-hosting with Grace of Babel's Travelling Yarns. And yeah, that's also running until the end of November. The idea being to spin a bit more intentionally, so you spin and then ply, spin and then ply. You spin and then make something from the yarn that you have spun. Words. If you only want to take part in the making portion and you're not a spinner, then you can of course do that as well. You just need to use handspun for the making portion, whether that's handspun that you've purchased, been gifted, or like won in a giveaway or something, or traded for, whatever. You just have to use handspun for your project to be considered. So yeah, those are the alongs that we have going on at the moment. There's more details and information about the rules and stuff in the group. Sorry, I'll put this down, it's a bit distracting playing with them. Yeah, so you can go and check that out in the group. And yeah, I think that pretty much sums that up. I was going to do a little giveaway announcement. So I showed you guys in the Oslo haul that I had these 2 tote bags. So I have this one from the actual knitting festival, it's a really nice little canvas and tote bag. And then there's the Rama tote bag. And there was also these 2 skeins of Rama yarn, the alpaca silk and the phenol PT2, which match together, and some stitch markers, these bulb stitch markers from the festival as well. So this is going to be a little giveaway. And what's the giveaway going to be? What's the prompt going to be? Just let me know in the comments below this video which knitting festival do you would be your dream knitting festival to attend. Which knitting festival would you love to attend? The idea being, name a festival you haven't been to. So for example, I know a lot of people will probably say Rhinebeck, but if you've been to Rhinebeck, think of a different one. But pick somewhere that you've never been that you'd like to go to. I mean, Oslo was somewhere that I've always wanted to go to. I've always wanted to go to Norway, even before I was a knitter, and just more so after I was a knitter. So it really was a an amazing opportunity and sort of like a dream come true to go to Oslo and to go for the knitting festival and to get to teach there and to get to visit so many of the yarn shops, and on top of that to get to hang out with a friend for the most, well, at least a really good friend for most of the weekend, as well as meeting and hanging out with some amazing people while I was there. So so yeah, let me know, where is a dream sort of knitting destination, not necessarily festival, let's just widen it a little bit, dream sort of knitting related destination or event that you'd really like to go to, and in a couple of weeks I will draw a winner for that. So yeah, that's everything. And moving on to life update, weeks in review and stuff. So the main thing that's happened recently was Layla's got scarlet fever, which is really quite sad, poor thing. She was so miserable last week. They sent her home early on Wednesday, and she only goes to nursery Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So they sent her home early on Wednesday, and she seemed fine, like herself, she was fine. But there were reasons. I'm not going to go into like graphic detail of why they sent her home. You could probably guess. But I took her to the doctor and she didn't have a fever at the time. She only had this one symptom, and the doctor was like, it's probably just a virus thing that you're just gonna have to ride it out until it gets better. And I had an idea. I thought that's all it was as well, but they sent her home, so I thought it'd probably best to take her in to get checked. And then on Thursday, she was mostly fine, but towards the late afternoon she started to feel quite hot, like she started to feel a bit more feverish. And then Thursday, what was it Thursday night? No, it wasn't Thursday night, it was Friday. Again, she was fine in the morning, but by late afternoon I could tell that she just wasn't being herself. She was really grumpy, really irritable. Oh, and that was the other thing, she was like super itchy. Like she was having 2 baths a day at this point. Like she had 2 baths on Thursday, 2 baths on Friday, just because she was so itchy. And after her second bath on Friday, I put her in a dress and I didn't bother putting trousers on her because I was like, I'm gonna have to keep taking them off and like put cream on her and change her nappy, because she kept complaining and wanting her nappy changed and saying it hurt. And she'd walk around and be like saying that her stomach hurt, which is so sad. Or like her, like, she kept asking for cream, and this is a girl who hates putting cream on. And she was really uncomfortable, like really uncomfortable, and just would not settle down. She was crying, she was upset. Nothing that we could do was like helping settle her. And then I asked her, I was like, do you want to go see the doctor? And she immediately calmed down. I was like, yeah, let's go see doctor. I was like, okay. And then so I called and made an appointment. We were getting ready to go, and she turned back to me. She was like, need shorts, I need shorts. I need to get my shorts on. For like under her dress, because I always have her wear leggings or shorts under her dress, under her dresses. And it was just really cute. Anyway, we went to the doctor and he sort of examined her, and she'd developed a rash, she had a fever, she had swollen tonsils, and like her throat looked quite sore, and basically she had all the symptoms of scarlet fever. So the doctor was like, it's not hit full force yet, so it's hard to predict how it's going to progress, but whatever it is, it will sort of hit its peak within the next 24 hours. This was a Friday afternoon, so he was like, I don't want to leave it for the weekend because then it's going to be harder to find a doctor. I mean, you still obviously can go emergency and all of that, but just to avoid the stress of it all. And because if it is scarlet fever, she's contagious, so we need to get her onto antibiotics straight away, so like preempt it essentially. And so yeah, they gave her antibiotics. We had a hell of a time getting her to take them initially, but we've ended up having to mix it in with drinks for her to take it, and she takes it fine now at home. But yeah, it was quite stressful that first night. It was really difficult. I ended up calling, I was so close to taking her to the hospital because she just was refusing to take the medicine. So and the thing is, scarlet fever is one of those things you can't just ride it out and wait for it to get better. Like, it has serious health impacts if you don't treat it. Like, it could cause all sorts of horrible complications, and like children used to die from scarlet fever back in like the day when it wasn't treatable, when they didn't have penicillin. So like I mean, I already knew that, so I was just like, she has to take her medicine. Like, there's no way around it. We even tried forcing her, she would just spit it out. Like, she had to take it willingly. There was no way that we could like force her to take it, which is why I was like, I'm just gonna take her to hospital, because if I can't give it to her, they'll have to figure something out. Got so close to like chucking her in the car and taking her to the hospital. In the end, we mixed it with a drink and she took it. And then yeah, so I was a bit concerned about her going to nursery and whether or not they'd be able to get her to take the medicine. Turns out she'll gladly just stand there and have them like squirt the medicine in her mouth, and she won't complain. She'll just take it. At home, I have to mix it in with something and hide it in something for her to take it. And yesterday when I went to pick her up, they were like, oh yeah, no, we've been talking to her, telling her to be a good girl and like to take her medicine at home, and we've been asking her and she's saying she will do it. So I turned around and I asked Layla, I was like, Layla, will you have your medicine at home? And she's like, no. And I was like, but you'll have it at nursery? She's like, yeah. Yes, I'll have it. She was like, yes, I'll have it at nursery, but no, I won't have it at home. And I asked her a couple more times in the car, and she'd say yes for nursery and no for home. So I don't know what nursery has that I don't, that we don't have at home. But apparently, yes, they have the magic touch, apparently. And she has no issues taking it straight without it being mixed with anything. This stuff is bitter, it's really not nice. Anyway, so at least I know she's taking it at nursery without causing any trouble, which was the real thing, which is what I was worried about. So I was worried that if they can't get her to take it at nursery, they would send her home, which is fair enough, but you know, I really need to get work. I really needed to get work done this week, so I needed her to go to nursery. Plus she loves going to nursery. She was so excited to go this week, and she's had so much fun. So I also don't want her to miss it for that reason, because she learns so much from nursery and it's so good for her. In other news, what else has been going on? Like I said, my mum and brother came down on Saturday. They just came down for the day to hang out and spend some time with Layla. They took her out for a couple of hours, so Perry and I got to rest a little bit, which was really nice. We've been having, since Layla transitioned to a toddler bed, we've been having some issues with her sleeping at night. I think we've solved most of them. We just had trouble getting her to stay in bed for a while, and like letting us leave before she fell asleep, and like having her go to sleep on her own. We finally seem to have like crossed that hurdle. And it's actually really sweet now. Bedtime's really easy, and it's just actually quite fun. She's so adorable. So after we do the whole bedtime routine, like she gets into bed and we read her a story and then sing her a song, turn the lights off, all that sort of stuff. And then just as it comes time for me to leave, she'll be like, okay, Layla, show mummy work. Or if it's Perry, it'll be like, Layla, show daddy work. And so she'll walk you out of her room to your desk, or to my desk for me, or to Perry's desk for him. She'll, you know, make sure you sat down at the computer, and then she'll tell you to put your headphones on, because you wear your headphones when you're working, apparently. And she's like, mummy, do work, mummy, do work. And then she'll leave, close my door to my office, to the spare room, my room. And then she'll go to her room, she'll close her baby gate, then she'll close her door, and then she'll go climb into bed. Well, no, actually, first she'll tidy up the books and put the books back on the bookshelf, and then get into bed. And then just roll over and go to sleep. And I'm just like, that's just the sweetest thing. Long may it continue. The issue we have now is her waking up like around 5:30 in the mornings, which is really tough. At the moment we're taking it in turns to get up, and I'm not sort of trying to deal with that yet because she's still sick, and I'm waiting for her to get over this sickness, and then we're going to try and nip that in the bud, because like I ain't doing 5:30 wake-ups for the rest of my life. This is ridiculous. She used to sleep till 6:30, 6:45 sort of time regularly, and I was like, I can live with 6:30. 6:30 is reasonable. 5:30, not reasonable. I from everything I've heard, we need to cut down her day nap, which is already quite short, but we need to be a bit more strict about cutting that down a bit more. So she'll hopefully sleep a bit better through the night into the morning. But we seem to have solved the middle of the night waking and her not wanting to go to bed and stuff like that, because we went through a phase of that, and it was terrible. Like, she physically did not want to get into bed, and we couldn't understand why. We got past that, thankfully, because that was a tough couple of weeks. I will be honest, that was really hard. But yeah, we're in a good place with her now. She's really sweet. Like I said, she's doing well with the medication. She's feeling much better. She was feeling better for the first couple of days, and then suddenly felt worse for a couple of days, and then was better again, and now she's on the up, which is really good. We're going to be going up to London this weekend, so it's my birthday next week on Tuesday, and so we're going to go up to London this weekend, hang out with my family, and yeah, and I think Perry and I are going to have like a date night or something Saturday night, which would be quite nice, and we might go to the cinema. I'm not even sure what's out at the moment, I'm so out of touch. But yeah, so that's really what's been going on, to be quite honest. I've got plans to film and record many videos over the next few months, essentially. I'm not going to be able to do them that quickly. I have so many design ideas for new patterns that I want to design and work on. I have some lovely yarn to play with. I'm looking forward to Rhinebeck, which is coming up in about a month, which is crazy. It is so soon, literally. Today's the 9th, yeah, literally a month away. 19th of October is when it all kicks off. I think that's right. I think it's the 19th. Sorry, 18th it kicks off, I think, with Indie Untangled. So yeah, I'm really excited. I'm actually going to be at Indie Untangled in the Lavender Loon Yarn Company booth. I'm helping out Sam, who's a really good friend of mine and also my housemate, for the weekend. And yeah, so if you're coming to Indie Untangled, head over to that booth if you want to come say hi. And I'll also have my forage sweater there, which I knit out of her yarn. And I didn't even say, the scraps that I'm using for the Colourway cowl is out of Lavender Loon yarn. I'm terrible at all of this. And if that's finished in time, I'll have that there. And I think I've got a couple of other designs that I've done out of her yarn, which I'll have there as well as samples. I've I'll also have a couple of samples, at least one, maybe two samples of designs I've knit out of junk yarn at the junk yarn booth as well. And yeah, I'm just really excited to see you guys at Rhinebeck. Rhinebeck is one of those events that I really look forward to every year, and this will be my third year. Yeah, this will be my third year going, and I'm so excited. This is definitely one of those ones, as long as we can A, afford it, and B, make it work schedule wise with my schedule and Perry's schedule and Layla's school and stuff like that. This is an event that I feel like I will make an attempt to go to every year for as long as I can, or as long as I want to, I guess. And I really enjoy it. I just enjoy the community, sense of community. I enjoy seeing people who I don't normally get to see on a regular basis, and, you know, meet people who I've only ever known online before. It's just a really, really enjoyable experience, and I always come back so inspired, and it keeps me sort of invigorated for the next year essentially. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I don't have a whole lot of yarn in mind for things that I want to get, but I do want to get a good amount of fibre. The one thing on my bucket list, not bucket list, I guess, on my list of things to get for Rhinebeck this year, the main thing on my list is a sweater quantity of Cormo fibre. I've always wanted to spin with Cormo. I remember seeing some Cormo fibre last year at Rhinebeck, and it was so soft, and I was like, I want some of that once I learn to spin. This was just before I got my spinning wheel, so I didn't want to buy a whole ton of fibre, not knowing if I was going to enjoy the experience or not. So I held back a bit at the time then, but now I'm just like, I want all the lovely fibre that I can't get here, but I can get in the US. So looking forward to that. I think that's really about it right now. So thank you so much for joining me today. If you're still sticking around, this has been quite a long one. I think, well, it'll be done by now, but I think I'm going to separate out the spinning segment into a separate video, because I feel like that was quite a long one. And yeah, and I don't really want this video to be over an hour long, and I have been recording for over an hour, so it would be, I think I'm going to split it into two. It's going to be knitting and all the other content in this first video, and then the spinning content will be its own separate, spinning and dyeing. I'm going to put the fibre dyeing into that as well, will be its own separate video. Alright, thank you for joining me, and I will see you guys again soon, hopefully. Bye!